All right, Sunday, 3:16 p.m. January 29 of 17. Run through the futures here real quick. Uh, for those of you that are new, this is basically like a bell curve. Okay, I call this the happy area. This is where the majority of people are happy with trading that price. Okay, so here's a 2-day candles of this is the Aussie dollar futures. Okay, so the price comes up here, bangs off the happy area. Okay, this is the money flow. This is money comes in, price goes up. You're paying up for this thing here. Stalled. I just eyeball it real quick. Money flow in relationship to the previous high. You have more money, lower price, which means that they onesie twosies paid up through here basically. Blue line is ADX, tells you if you're in a trend or not. When it usually turns from under 20 and goes up to 40, if it goes into 60, you have a persistent trend. And then one more on here, I have RSI. It'll poke its head through at extremes. Just basically the 2-day deal with the bars is just, I usually do weeks, but the 2 days kind of helpful inter-week. And also with candlesticks and that, you usually need to see some sort of follow through on a pattern. Okay, so things aren't so choppy like in here, like if you had a daily. All right. The British pound, like the British pound, it's coming off of the 30-year low. Money flows down here, so there's room to run on the upside. The dollar would need to lose 100 on here. I personally would like to see the dollar get to 97 before it gets to 103. That all comes down to the next couple of days of trade here. Basically, maybe just a larger sideways pattern for right now. The pound would probably break out if the dollar, lost 99 kind of thing. Remember, the momentum's been going on for hundreds of years. If this thing goes down, bad, Kevin. But it's a 30-year low, and it just, I'm looking at, what kind of risk is involved here. So blue line is ADX again. So this is reset and ready to go. Basically, it needs a trend. So either break out to the upside or come back down and come through. The ADX should turn up on here. Like here, it turned up. Price was lower, turned down. You had sideways, you had a bounce again. So I think it's reset to go and trade higher up here. I'm looking for 130s. Okay. I'm not going to say, yeah, it's going to go to, 118, 117, whatever. I'd be looking for buying opportunities then again too, some sort of failure and then go higher. But for now, I just lean on the long side. The euro would be more sideways to me. Here is the Canadian dollar. Money flows in there. Okay, price is lower. The bodies are in there is what I usually say. ADX it's beginning to turn here. Okay, so if it goes to the upside, it should probably kick into gears. It's been kind of moving that way. It's at the happy place. For me, stand aside for right now. In theory, if oil drops, this should come down too. If oil goes higher, it should crack through the happy place here. Basically, the upside is 85 for me, and the downside is roughly where we're at. So I'm gonna just kind of use the 1985 to 1990 pattern of sideways to up on this thing here. Euro, possibly inverted head and shoulders on here. ADX, money flow. This here is overhead resistance. I am watching, is that a hawk? It's a chipmunk thing now. Okay, just this wildlife in the front yard of the desert. All right, so okay, all right, blah blah blah. So we have the money flow here. It's what I think I talked about, like 109 on the upside. It's kind of like I'd see 109, 10, just up in this area before you see par kind of thing. I just think that the dollar is going to roll over and rates are going to drop for at least a quarter or two. That's how I'm kind of leaning for right now. See how the ADX picked up when this thing rolled over. All right. 6J, this is the Japanese yen. Okay, Japanese yen. You can see how once it cracked last year, actually, this was the fun one. I had it both ways, right? Yeah, okay, so cracked, all right. If the Japanese yen goes higher, the US yen pair would go lower. That's how this works. This is the yen futures. I'd like to see the yen go higher. That would mean the carry trade would come off, equities would roll over, bonds would go higher, and notes. Here's our little RSI. So we're getting green on here. Remember, these are 2 days. Okay, so this means it's been pretty hard, you know, sold off. Any divergence kind of thing. I like the RSI. Just I'm looking for divergence. And ADX turned down, so at least the most it's doing is sideways. But if it comes back through here, okay. What do we have? Market's going to open a little bit here. It comes back through here, I'd take it and run, okay. Eventually, I said we'd see something around 180 on the U.S. Yen type of deal, but that would mean that we'd have some serious inflation because it'd be a much stronger dollar, but or Japan gets much weaker, you know. But I just kind of look at that as just due to the fact of all the wealth, if it's still here, as the boomers move on, that it's going to hit them. It's like, you know, all the heirs win the old lottery ticket, go insane, you know, that kind of thing. Trillions of dollars indiscriminately hitting people hitting people and indiscriminately go out there and spend. But me personally, I like to see the yen go higher through the happy place and work its way up in here. All right. Mexican peso. Okay, so the Mexican peso. This is the deal on the peso here. I talked about this, most definite that this is probably the bottom on the thing, but you have to be able to handle any type of pullback, even if it is deeper for whatever reason, whatever. You know, this isn't much, right? It feels like it's been a heck of a move, you know, shorting the U.S. Mexican in my case, right? You get possibly a trend reversal, and then you get the carry, shorting that pair, U.S. dollar Mexican. But here's where you're going to first get, I'm looking for the old first wave of profit takers in here. If it does continue to march on, then I don't think that there'll be a problem here. But if it does come back, you know, for some of us that kind of piled on, you know, all of a sudden it gets to be a little, you know, the chair gets to be a little more uncomfortable. So I said always, you know, try and have something for back here. Put that, you know, some people, when you put the trade on, the money comes out of your account. Well, then that's just resting there. It's for the just in case, you know. Try not to leave yourself too thin here, right? Because you don't want to be that guy. You know, you don't want to be the one that sells natty gas at a 20-year low. You know, you want to be able to add more if you're lucky. You know, that's the whole thing. You think you snagged at the bottom. What happens if it just comes back? Whatever. It doesn't even have to be the truth, right? It's whatever people believe. And here's the other deal too: is something can happen and they have to unwind the whole portfolio. You know, so this was just sold off because somebody was, you know, their cocoa position blew up, or silver, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. The ADX turned, so the trend basically kind of stalled. You know, it turned up as it came down, you know. So on here, just be able to make sure you can handle the first wave of pullback kind of thing here. I like the pound and the Mexican peso, I think, are going to be some of the better longs for 2017. Kiwi. Here's a happy place. It got through it. Okay, whereas the Aussie dollar stalled at it. Money flows in there. It's the Kiwi kind of thing. So I'd kind of lean towards the short side of this. Here's the ADX, so just kind of wait for it to, you may have a test up in here. What's this, 93 3/4, 94 1/2. You never know. It pokes on through here and then revert and then slides through. Dollar say the dollar rolls over, and interest rates come off, but the bodies are getting in there and stuff. What's this? 974. I'm looking for it to go back the other way, or towards 50, 55. Swiss franc, anything up in here, 102 1/2 or higher, the short side of this thing, they run into the Swiss franc. Then I'm leaning that this is just basically short covering from now. You can see, I guess, this has come up kind of like the euro and then poked its way through. It did stall up here. This is the ATR reversal. ATR, Irish Trading Range trailing stop. And this is your SAR, the little red dots right here. ADX is turned, so that means this is a trend, but the money flows, the bodies are actually getting out of this thing here. Okay. Brent, 2 hours. Need to turn that into 2 days. All right, so 56 was that. Okay, so short on the oil. ADX is resetting. You see how it reset and then turned up for this. Well, this price can come down and ADX can turn up on it. So how I'm treating this, and I guess you could say that this is overhead resistance or stop or an alarm or what have you, is treat this as kind of a distribution type pattern for now. But we'll see how it's the market. There were, what was it? The pros are leaning long on here on regular crude, U.S. crude, and Brent here. Bear flag and move lower is what I'm looking for. Back down to 49 on here. It's taking forever, which is kind of unnerving. So hopefully it's quick here on the reversal lower. Regular U.S. crude, a lot of little wicks up here. Bodies came into it. Little dots for resistance for right now. I want to see it come through here. ADX is reset, so we need it to come down, just like it reset here and turned higher. ADX is ready. Come on down, crude. Crude. All right, here's our low on the dollar. Is anything happening here? No. Okay. Okay, so there's the dollar. All right, so this here is the ATR trailing stop, right? So it paused on it, money flow came out of it. ADX is beginning to reset again here. I'm treating this as basically sideways. You could have a head and shoulder on here. A lot of bodies were in here, so this may be marking time, digesting for commitment of traders to get out the all the extra longs that were in here. Like I said, in my ideal world, the dollar rolls over through 100 here. Happy place here says 95 and change, but I'll treat it at like 97 in here. 97.70. That would work. Anything underneath it, basically. And that would mean probably short bonds and stuff again. Weaker dollar, lower interest rates, they kind of go hand in hand for right now, correlation. But that's what I'd like to see. We did get about half back here, so we shall see. S&Ps broke out. All right, we're waiting on the retrace or retest. We talked about it, 2277, that kind of thing. RSI is poking its head through here, so on the 2 days, it's oh, for bonkers. Come on, you. I'm trying to load something. RSI is poking its head through. Probably going to be getting some divergence on here. You know, if it loses 2277, if it loses down here, what's that, 52? This will probably be it'll just roll on over here. What's this? Happier about 2177. You're back to the breakout. Like I said, I don't think this will hold. EDX is turning up. That was on the swing of the breakout higher, but we shall see here. I'll take a look at some currencies here. All right. 114.82 on the yen, US dollar, yen, 114.80. Okay. All right. So what I'm looking for is a reversal, as a breakout. In theory, we should see some sort of retest and then continue to go higher. I'm looking for the failure where it swipes below and comes down here. You know, like this is the little springboard we talked about on the way higher. You know, springboard comes down, moves higher, that kind of thing. I think we saw that on the YM. But here's where we're at. We saw that the TNA, which is your IWM and your Russell's having issues. So I'm looking for failures here in U.S. equities. And there's gold. I have to get over 1217. What's this up here? 31 to 36. 31 to 36 here would be resistance for now. And then I think what's it, 53 to 55, 12, 53, 55. All right, so on gold here, I'm looking for, some sort of C-wave swing on here. Dollar cracks, this would probably swing higher, right? But will it, here's the RSI, right? So it came down oversold. You can see the money flow up here came out of it. I tried to make a new high. So it ran out of go-go juice. Here's Italy. All right. Italy referendum. ADX is extremely, here's RSI sticking its head through. So I'm looking for some sort of bounce in euro dollars, similar to the beginning of the year type of thing. Just a place to hide out, basically. Then would look at it as short covering at first, and then maybe you get some people chasing after it. That would have talk of not as many rate hikes this year, but this is like T-bills in Europe, the euro dollars. But the ADX it's oversold. It's, here was a strong volume day, and we basically had somewhat of a reversal bar, came back, when we're back here again. So clearing this, then we're going to go and try and head back up into this, what's that? 8 points. 8 basis points. It'd be 16 because they're halves too, right? That begins to add up on $5 million contracts. All right, copper. We're looking for some sort of reversal here, something where it comes up and fails and then comes back down. Your RSI. Money flow, they're kind of giving up, but ADX is still moving with this move higher. So this one cracked. What's this down here? 215, 216 round trip. That would be interesting on copper. Natty gas. So the front end we're looking at is, I'm treating this as basically sideways. Contracts we looked at today, the deferred filled the gap area. Here's our little SAR dots, stop and reverse, you know, little dots there. Here's our ATR, trailing stop, money flow. You know, they're running out of time. The deferreds are kind of weak compared to the back end. You know, here's 275. This is March, right? March. ADX is reset. So if it slides hard, this will turn up. You know, you're looking to buy deferred contracts, and you're looking to buy, you know, October, November, December kind of thing, you know, depending upon the slide. If it carries on, well, then you have to see that the front end begins to kind of take the lead here. I don't know about weather and whatever. We shall see. The NASDAQ, much better looking chart here compared to the others. The NASDAQ, you know, worked its way up, retest a little bit deeper than I'd like, and then it's taken off running. The money flow is definitely in there. And I'm looking for a reversal here. What's that? 50, 61, you know. Well, you know, then that would begin to, you know, crack through here. ADX is turned up, so it is moving. You have yourself a trend. All right, so, but like I said, we'll just say 50-50. You know, that kind of deal here. It's once in motion, let it stay in motion. You know, here's the ADX here. You know, it turns up, and it cracked and basically traded sideways. It took a while. You know, it was, remember, it was the leader for 2016, and then the Russell took over. And then it's leading the way, which is fine. Yeah. Every day that goes by, we get closer and closer to a recession. Sugar, talked about this maybe having a little difficult time here. Deferred, like everything else, the deferred contracts look a little better than the front months, you know. Well, we're all trying to play the same game, you know. Where's the weather-related spin on this? So we'll see here when currencies and the futures begin to open up here. Silver, this would be the happy place to break it. This is shaded areas, 70% of where the trade is taken on the screen. You know, if it, you know, I'm not, you know, like I said, I'll wait for this when it goes back below $8. This is just a trading thing. It did come off the moving averages, remember, on that other video. So, and you know, that's the whole thing. I'm looking for a C wave too. You know, just some sort of correction from, you know, the correction. Here's our Russell. Came back about halfway, didn't break out. This is your trailing stop. It's pretty good, decent, you know, amount away here. To be target. This, I tell you, I'd like to see another swing higher through this, up above, you know, through here, and then fail. This is going to be interesting. No doubt about that. This is going to be interesting, you know, sideways, you know, reversal, you know, reversal, comes down, swings, comes up, couldn't do it compared to like what the NASDAQ did. So the Russell's having issues. That was the whole short the 3 times TNA type of deal. Keep an eyeball on that if you have pockets enough to short it. There are options. I believe you can go out to like January 19, 2019. You know, those are just reference points I use. All right, Ultra Bonds, like I said, I'm looking for some sort of C wave, maybe up to here. Since the dots are there, this is a reference point, 166 and 167. Okay. This is a swing, you know, A, B, a swing, something up into here. There's G. June up to 30th. I thought maybe a little higher, maybe. That would be interesting, but that's pretty hefty. Oh, that's right. We looked at June bonds and it only did 150. Come on. You buggers. Not much there, right? A lot of good that done me. Right, okay. Yeah, so just a swing higher here, C wave type of deal. You know, because it's had a pretty good March lower, right? All right, we're back to the VIX stuff. Did a video on VIX. Stay focused. We'll treat this as some sort of like symmetrical triangle from now. Look at follow the horizontal. Definitely trail something on the backside here. You know, it's just a matter of time, right? You know, 23. Just a matter of time. Here's the Dow, 2-day bars, remember? Here's money flow, kind of an undecided bar. What's this halfway? Okay, that would be 18,884. Putting kind of an alarm on here to see if it comes back. Comes back through the bottom down here to run to the hills. Like I talked about, what happens if January is the high for the year? Then we roll over, you know. In the earlier stuff I wrote about, you know, bear markets are half the time of bull markets. The bottom might not come in until, say, 2020, you know, that kind of thing. That would be a scary thought. 4 years, holy buckets. That would be the same as like 1929, 4 years, 1933. Lose 90%. Oh, Kevin, stop that. Just quit that talk. RSI. We're getting divergence, right? ADX. We're watching for reversals here. This is the Dow futures. Bonds, like I said, a swing higher. Little dots 155. Corn, ADX, money flow, happy place. Dots are moving along here. Fives, the same thing. Just a C wave, swing higher. Oil leading the way, happy place, 33, we'll say 33.33, oh boy. Money flow is definitely coming out of it, so they're definitely getting out of this thing, ADX. It definitely, now watch for the RSI. RSI poked its way here, looking for RSI to come down here. Meal. Aww. No, it's the same thing here. I'm just looking for a swing. What's this here? 125.12, 126. Basically about the same thing. 1 point range. Soybeans, come on down. Come on down. Should do weeklies. I haven't done weeklies for a while. Wheat. Bodies are in it. Money flow. ADX. Turn it up. That's the only really bullish thing going on here. Little SAR dots. No. Has to hold a happy place. I said about 123 and we're below it. You know. We're back to the A's. All right, I'll post this and I'll do some other videos, but I want to send these out to you right away now. So everybody, rock and roll. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Gasoline down here, 147. This area, 146 3/4. You know, gasoline there. Heating oil, HO. Heating oil here, 155 and 147.48. Is it cotton? Blue cotton? Cotton. Cocoa. Sugar. Oh, cocoa. Yeah, we're waiting for a trigger. Cocoa, sugar. We looked at cotton, cocoa, sugar, orange juice. Orange juice. We're looking for this from Monday's post. The lottery tickets of OJ. Here's a happy area, 185 area. View this as short covering rally, but like I said, I don't know how many of you have what on, but save one just in case this gets out of control on the upside. Yeah. 120, these are all round numbers that I've remembered for over the years. Yeah. Yep. So you probably see that's the thing is you could probably get some short sellers in here. It comes down, all of a sudden you get to like 180. Well, you know, and all of a sudden it's just like, you know, there aren't enough bodies in there and it just goes insanely crazy. Coffee, sugar, cocoa, orange juice. I did them all, right? I have them all, done them all. They're all good. It's good. All right.